You're welcome. Wamaka, can we proceed now?
Yes, please, we can. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So I guess we'll just have the welcome address by the convener, Wamaka. So yeah, the floor is yours, Wamaka.
Okay, thank you very much, Gift, for that. And I would like to start by saying Happy New Year, everyone, and to all our Queen of Sales community. I would like to say Happy 2026 to all of us. Today it's third day of the year, and last year we had our digital summit on fourth day of the year. And most times people ask me, why do we start this early? I tell them that the truth is, for those who are in sales profession, like what Dr. Yaduni just said now, when I asked if she's on vacation, most times we work in and out of season. So somehow we're a bit wired that way. And excuse me, and we're also used to starting our year early. So even when officially the company haven't started, we're already checking our numbers, calculating and all that. So the same here for us. We're also trying to make sure we connect with our community. Yes, we know it's third day of the year. And we also know that this is also the time all the salespeople are trying to make sure they get their books together, get their numbers ready for the year, and also to start the work. But we also feel is also the best time for us to connect as a community. Now, what is most exciting about today for me is not just about the day of the year, but it's also about we have opportunity to see different faces. Yes, a lot of activities, events are happening in different cities in the world on third day of the year because a lot of people are also on transit to different locations, maybe back to work or maybe back to school for families and all that. But we're here today because we feel this community means a lot to us. And I would like to say from my heart to really say thank you so much, everyone that is here today. Those who have made effort to invite their friends, especially to our keynote speakers and our panelists. I need to be very honest with you that this is 2 years our community, and in 2 years we've sorry, excuse me, I have cough, please. Yeah, so this is am I saying 2 years? I'll say this is yeah, this is 2 years we've been actively promoting Queen of Sales community on LinkedIn and on different digital platform. And in 2 years, I also like you to know that this community has been running without any financial press. And what it also means is that we also had the privilege to have great people come on our platform to come and speak to us, to come and find a way to be able to support the community. So to anybody who have come here today to come and for us to come and learn from, I really want you to, be attentive, make sure you participate because it means they really sacrifice a lot for them to be here. And I would like to say thank you so much to all our keynote speakers, to our panelists, to our hosts, and also thank you so much to our wonderful audience for being here. And please don't forget to still send a reminder to your team for them to join. And just for a bit of what Screen of Sales is all about, we're just a community of, women who are in sales, driving a vision together to get more women to be at least in the top sensitive roles in the sales organization. So we're not just targeting those who are already in the organization, we're also targeting the young ones. And I'll encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, join our WhatsApp groups if you're in sales community. It will give you opportunity to learn more about us because today we want to focus on the objective of today and not really talking much about what the community is all about. So thank you so much everyone for joining, and I look forward for us for having a fantastic event today. Please sit back and learn. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Am I frozen or is somebody else?
Okay, so I noticed I can't hear anything also. I think maybe it's network. Gift Roots, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think Gift's network is
So Ruth,
frozen.
you can switch in while you if Ruth is not available, please. Since two
Oh,
of you are
okay.
host, thank you.
Yeah. So we'll be welcoming we're on to the next part of the meeting. Currently is our keynote session. So we'll be welcoming Shari Levitin to speak on her keynote session, which we'll be holding for the next 45 minutes. Then we'll take in questions from there. As we may not know, I mean, Shari is a global sales leader, LinkedIn top voice, and one of the top 50 keynote speakers worldwide. Known for blending AI with authentic human connection, Shari will explore how emotional intelligence, empathy, and authenticity remain the most powerful differentiators for building trust in today's sales landscape. Please help me welcome Shari as she takes us on the next session. Welcome, Shari. Thanks for
Thank you
being here.
so much. Many things I love. South Africa, so thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yes.
Working with women and sales. So three of my loves. I am delighted to be here. It's Saturday morning here in Park City, Utah, at about 14 degrees. So right about now, I wish I was in South Africa. So thank you, Queen of Sales. I wanted to start out and tell you that I'm really not a queen of sales. I may be a princess, but I'm not the queen of sales. That title belongs to another woman entirely. And I'm going to tell you that story before we begin. In 1934, this woman, at 4 years old, was born a Jew in Nazi Germany. And her first memory at 6 years old was attending a parade. But it wasn't a happy parade. In fact, her first memory was seeing a man named Adolf Hitler. And so her family knew that they had to leave. And it took a lot of courage because they were successful. In fact, they were in sales. Her father had a successful furrier business. They made good money. They had to leave all of their possessions, get on a boat, and head for an unknown land very far away. They landed in Los Angeles, poor immigrants, didn't speak the language. This woman was only 6 years old. She had two older sisters. And her two parents were working 3 jobs to try to make ends meet. And so were her sisters. So at 6 years old, she walked across the street and made a startling discovery. It was called the library. And she realized from there she could take out 10 books in English and read them every single week and then get 10 more. And she not only taught herself English, she taught herself to read and write, and she got a scholarship to a university, the University of California, where she met a man that she later married. Well, from there, she learned to write, and she wrote throughout her career 44 books in English, taught English, and became a playwright. And today, she's 91 years old. She is writing a new play and a new book, and for New Year's Eve, wrote her 10-year business plan. And the reason I know this story is because this woman is my mother, Sonia Levitin. And Sonia Levitin is the true queen of sales. She's my inspiration and helps many, many people who are in need in underserved communities, and has been a force of nature and a force of inspiration for me. But what I want to say is that she also gave me the impetus to start my company all the way back in 1997. And our whole mission at Levitin Group, our mission statement is elevation through education. I believe education can change the world. I believe education can help people in poor communities rise to have a better future. I believe for us that have the opportunity to have education, it's right at our fingertips today. You see, my mother had to go to the library. She had to teach herself to read from another language. Today, we have education. We have information. But here's what I also believe. Information isn't what makes us successful. Information alone isn't what gives us a fulfilled life. Everybody today has information. AI has information. We don't have to go to the library anymore. So what I'm going to talk about today isn't just information. It's the skills beneath the skills. It's that emotional intelligence. There's an author I love called David Brooks. He wrote a book called The Road to Character, and he says it best. He says there's two types of virtues that a person can have. There's resume virtues, and those are your skills. And in sales, it means your ability to prospect, your ability to get consensus, your ability to set goals, your ability to do discovery. Those are resume virtues, the ability to lead a team. He said, but what's more important to our lives is what he calls eulogy virtues. What will people say about you at your funeral? How will you be remembered? Well, I know my mother will be remembered for her courage, for her kindness, her curiosity, her ability to captivate, her compassion, and her character. And so what we're going to talk about today is in a time of AI, I believe there's 7 C's or 7 skills, but think of them as the skills underneath the skills, the emotional intelligence skills that drive our success. Because here's what I know to be true. As machines get more and more like us, we need to double down on those skills that make us uniquely more human. So let's go ahead and look at what those skills are. Number 1, curiosity. Are we truly curious? If you think about it, AI isn't curious. It gives us answers. We're the ones who have to ask the questions. We have to ask prompts. It used to be it was all about the answers. Today, it's all about curiosity. It's all about those questions. Number 2, courage. We have to have courage. My mother had courage. We have to have the courage to make the tough calls, to have the tough conversations, to hear no, to take rejection. As salespeople, this is the hardest thing. And as women in a man's world still, we have to have the courage to stand up for ourselves, to ask for what we want, to network with each other. And that's why I'm so delighted that you started Queen of Sales, so that you can help each other, lift each other up to have courage. Next, captivating. We've got to be captivating. We've got to command attention. And so we need to practice our stories. We need to practice our speaking skills. It matters. It's what makes us stand out. And that takes confidence, another C. We also, probably most importantly, and what women are uniquely qualified to do, is show our compassion. And there's probably nothing more important than compassion and empathy in a time of AI. What we're not going to get to today is other skills we need in a time of AI: creativity, cognitive thinking. Is AI even telling us the truth? And character, right? So that's what we're going to look at today in the short amount of time we have together: curiosity, courage, captivating, and compassionate. And I want to start with curiosity. So let me go back a slide here. Hopefully you can see everything. What is curiosity? Go ahead and write in the chat. What is your definition of curiosity? And I can't see the chat from here. So maybe someone, Ruth or Gift, you can tell me what everybody says. What is curiosity? How would you define it? Go ahead and tell me that now. Oh, I can see it. I do have the power.
Yeah.
What does anybody think? Can you write that in the chat for me?
Gift, I think
Yeah, are you taking it?
Yeah, read it.
Okay, she asked the question what curiosity means.
Yeah, because there are answers in the chat.
She can't read
Okay,
the
so let
chat.
me open
Yes,
that.
please. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Okay,
see
so
it. Great.
So
Inquisitive,
someone
wanting.
says, is the state of being wanting to know something that is unknown to a person.
Love these. Yeah, I see it
Inquisitive.
now. A constant quest to know more, the hunger to know more. What a great word. Wanting to understand people. Curiosity is the inquisitiveness of an individual. That's excellent. I found a definition and I put it in my book. Here's some shameless self-promotion. My book is Heart and Sell, the 10 Universal Truths Every Salesperson Needs to Know. It's on Amazon. And I talk about that curiosity is like scratching an itch. There's a definition that says curiosity is an information gap. It's the uncomfortable feeling we feel when we become aware of something we don't know and we want to scratch that itch. And of course, this is so important in a time of AI because we need to dig deeper. We need to experiment. We need to experiment now with different platforms. As salespeople, sure, we can research our customers before we ever meet with them. It's incredible. We can put in prompts. Tell me about them. Tell me about their industry. What are trends affecting that industry? But that's about the persona and not the person. So what curious salespeople do is we dig deeper to uncover what makes that person tick. And we do that through asking questions, through being genuinely curious. Inquiry is an essential skill. Now, there's a woman named Carol Dweck who is my hero. She's a Stanford professor, and she came up with a concept called a growth mindset. This is really important if you haven't heard this term. What Carol Dweck found in her research is that there's two types of people in this world, those with a fixed mindset and those with a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset feel like their skills are set in stone. They can't grow. You know people like that. They say things like, oh, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at remembering names. I'm not good at technology. People with a growth mindset, on the other hand, say, I'm not good now, but I'm going to get good. I'm going to be curious and I'm going to learn and I'm going to do what it takes. And she said, when you're hiring people today, better than experience, better than IQ is the EQ of a growth mindset. Now, how do we get a growth mindset? There's no growth mindset store that I know of. So in my book, I talk about something called the growth equation that I want to present to you today. And there's three parts of a growth equation. And of course, it starts with curiosity, right? We've got to not just build relationships, we have to build deeper relationships. Somebody said it in the chat. We need to say, tell me more. We need to really get to know the person. And in sales, that always starts with a deep, deep discovery. Okay, it's being genuinely curious, not just relying on a script or a prompt. It's caring about who's that human in front of you. The second part of the growth equation is we have to take responsibility. When we say it's not my fault, I couldn't help it, the leads aren't good, the economy isn't good, politics aren't good, we're taking away our power. My mentor said the most incredible thing to me when I started in sales. I'm going to age myself here, ladies, over 30 years ago. He said, Shari, successful salespeople have ego. He said, but there's two types of ego. There's good ego and bad ego. Good ego gives you the ability to claim greatness. Good ego says, I'm going to be the top salesperson in all of South Africa. I'm going to be the top salesperson in the world. I'm going to be the top salesperson. I'm going to take my manager's job. I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to start my own business. Beautiful. That's good ego. He said, but what's bad ego is when we say, it's not my fault. The leads are trash. The economy's bad. My Venus is in retrograde. I've heard it all. We blame external factors for our lack of success. And he told me back then something I want to share with you, which is one of the most important cultural lessons I learned and how I ended up leading and managing teams. He said, Shari, if you want to be successful, you need to change the pronoun. What he meant by that is I was never allowed to say the customer couldn't afford it. I had to say I didn't create enough value. I wasn't allowed to say, now wasn't good timing. I had to say, I didn't create enough urgency. When we take responsibility, when we change the pronoun, we change our life because what it invites is for us to say, how could I have done better? Every single day after I met with a customer, I would talk to my mentor. And I had a great man in my life who was a mentor and many great women. And we would say, what did I do right? And what could I do better? Responsibility means we're coachable. It means we'll take coaching on what we could do better. And that's the only way to have a growth mindset and to have the growth equation in our lives. And that's why Queen of Sales is so valuable. You have mentors, you have people you can go to, people you can talk to. But first, you have to let go of that bad ego. And I'm not going to lie, it's hard for me because sometimes I find I have bad ego and I blame. But the truth is, we only grow by taking responsibility. Because what we're trying to achieve is a state that I call unconscious mastery. That means you know your technology so well. You know your stories so well. You know your product so well that you can focus on the person in front of you. When my husband and I first got married, we live in Utah, very far away. Most people only know Utah by the Sundance Film Festival, which is coming in the next 2, 3 weeks, or maybe they know of the Utah Jazz, the basketball team, but we're a small state in the West. And when my husband and I first started dating, we had a date night, and he decided to take me to the opera, or no, it was the symphony. So now you need to know something. I'm not a very sophisticated woman. I had never been to the symphony. I might be embarrassed to tell you that. I was kind of hoping it was an Adele concert or, some great pop singer or something when he told me he was taking me out. But I thought, okay, I'll get all dressed up and go to the symphony, right? Because I really liked the guy. And so I put on my fancy black dress and my fancy black heels. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be bored. We're going to the symphony, but we're in the fifth row. Like, he got really nice seats. And then when the soloist came out, his name was Augustine Hagdala. He picked up this violin, and I am not kidding you. I felt so much emotion with this solo. I felt every emotion you could imagine. I felt jealousy. I felt anger. I felt love. I felt longing. I mean, he was making love to this violin. Now, I can tell you, I researched Augustine Hagdala. He practices 5 hours a day. He is a master. Every single day, he gets better at his craft. Now, Augustine Hagdala wasn't one time thinking, should I play a B flat next? How does my instrument work? Should I tune it up? No, he had practiced so hard and so often that he became a master. Ladies, we need to know our material, our content, our sales technology so well that we can open our hearts to the customers in front of us and never miss a beat. That's true mastery. And it starts with the emotional intelligence skill, the eulogy virtue of curiosity. So I want you to ask yourself today, am I truly curious? I want you to every day, my husband, now he's my husband, taught me, write down 3 things you learned today. For the new year, what are you going to learn that's out of your comfort zone? What are you going to learn instead of having a fixed mindset saying, I'm going to learn how to build my own GPT? I'm going to learn how to tell great sales stories. I'm going to let go of my ego and talk to somebody who's better than I am and ask, what can I do to be a true unconscious master? But it all begins with curiosity. All right, next, courage. To make it today, we have to have courage. What's courage? Courage is doing what's hard. Courage is what's doing uncomfortable. In chapter 4, I talk about salespeople know that the more fear they feel, the more important it is to tackle that fear. What you're afraid to do, you must do. The question you're afraid to ask, you must ask. My manager gave me a great analogy. He said, real courage is about getting out on the skinny branches. He likened it to getting out on the skinny branches of a tree. And what he said was, we need to go do what other cherry pickers won't do. Take chances, have courage. See, without courage, people hide behind scripts and automation. With courage, we step into creativity, human connection, where AI can't compete. And it's hard because in sales, we take rejection every single day. My mentor told me, Shari, we don't have to work harder, but we do have to work scarier. He said, make a list of 10 calls you're terrified to make. Not the easy calls, not the easy customers, the ones that if they said yes, it would change your life. Who are they? And then pick up the phone. And let me tell you, it's not about texting and email cadences. Those are helpful. But we need to pick up the phone. We need to get out on those skinny branches. Make a list. And maybe it's not just sales. Maybe it's apologizing to someone who you hurt. And maybe building that bridge and having that relationship will change your life. Maybe it's reaching out to a mentor. I don't know what it is for you. Last year, or actually it was 2 years ago, I had the honor of presenting a series of sales seminars to the US military. I've never been more proud than to work for the military. And I'm sure you can imagine what that felt like for me, knowing that if it wasn't for the proud men and women who served, I wouldn't be here today. They're the ones that fought for us, for our freedom, and to help my mother and her family get here. But what struck out with me, what really stood out to me in that encounter, is there was this one guy, and I don't have a picture of the exact guy. He was about 35 years old. He's in that crowd somewhere. And he was a buffed guy, really good looking soldier. And he said to me, you know what, Shari? And I was helping them with recruiting because this was the recruitment division of the military. He said, I was on the front lines of Afghanistan. He said, but I am more scared of hearing no when I try to recruit a new soldier than I was when people were shooting at me. It does something to my soul to get rejected. And it's true. In fact, neuroscientists tell us when we hear no, literally, it changes us physically. It's hard to hear no, but we have to get out on the skinny branches. And what does that mean? Like I said, making the tough calls, asking the difficult questions, saying we're sorry. And in this day and age, opening our minds to opposing points of view. I can tell you, I don't know what it's like in Africa right now, but in the United States, we are really divided as a nation because people aren't listening to each other, because we don't have the courage to listen to other people from other points of views, from other countries, different color skin. I mean, we have to listen to each other. And so what I'm going to ask you to do right now in the chat, please, is write down a list and maybe just give me 2 or 3. Since we don't have a ton of time, I'd like to hear what scares you that you're going to tackle in the new year. What skinny branches are you going to get out on so that you can have courage to make your dreams come true? What would that be for you? Go ahead and write that in the chat, please. And I'm going to need somebody to read this to me because I've lost my chat again.
We don't have any at the moment, or I'll just keep looking through the answers that we have.
Anybody? Come on. Oh, there it is. Now I can open it. It shows up every once in a while. Fear of failure, building a relationship centered on trust. Fear of failure. Yeah. I want to know one action you're going to. I want an action you're going to take in your business, in your sales, or in your leadership role. Starting a new job, that takes a lot of courage. starting afresh. A lot of courage, Fumani. Thank
Putting a
you.
face and a voice to my writing.
Who else? I want to hear it. I want to
Someone
see it.
said, putting a face and a voice to my writing.
I can tell you,
Mm.
to me, writing is the most important skill that we can have in life. Put myself out there. Don't be afraid. Put yourself out on LinkedIn. Become a thought leader. You know, the thing about AI, if we rely on AI for all of our writing, I use it for editing. When we rely on AI, guess what? That's not courage. We all sound the same, right? Our creativity shrinks to the median of every other voice out there. Real courage in a time of AI is taking your own voice. And even if somebody doesn't agree with you, that's okay. It's your voice. Because guess what? When you go out there and take a position, people aren't going to agree with you. I have millions of views on Instagram. I had a post that did like 16 million views, and a lot of people were really mad at me. And it hurt my feelings. But I made an impact. And that's what I care about. And that takes courage. Learning a tech skill, fabulous. Failure in not leaving a great legacy for my children. That's right. That would be failure. And I want to leave you with this quote from a wonderful woman who I love following and I love reading. And this is Brene Brown. I'm sure many of you have heard of Brene Brown. She has a wonderful TED Talk. And I love this definition. She says the root of the word courage is core, the Latin word for heart. In one of its earliest forms, the word courage meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. Courage is a heart word. Be brave. Courage. That's something that AI can't do, and something that we can do in the new year. So now let's go ahead and take a look at captivating. How do we be captivating? Go ahead and put that in the chat. What does being captivating mean to you? What's a captivating person? Because, AI communication, email, text, it's kind of flat. It's not very captivating. Today, people are bombarded with information and stats and but what's captivating? What makes something or someone captivating? Go ahead and write that. This is great. Holding
Holding
attention.
attention. Yeah.
Yeah, and how do we hold attention? I always talk
Someone says being,
about, sorry?
someone says being authentic as well. So center of attention, style of presentation. And
Absolutely. And I can tell you what something I told my son when he was 16 and started dating, that the best way to be captivating is to be interested, not interesting. I got to tell you a funny story. I wasn't planning on telling this, but before I got married, I was in my 20s and everybody was telling me about this great guy that I needed to meet. Let's call him Paul. Actually, that was his name. So I am calling him Paul. Pardon me. And everybody said, "Oh, you're going to like this guy. He's really handsome and he's really successful. And he's got his own business. He's a writer. He loves dogs. He loves nature, all the things I love." So we go out to lunch and I sit down with Paul and he starts telling me about his business and his writing and his family. And then he tells me more about his business and his writing and his family. And after 45 minutes of not getting a word in edgewise, I say, "Oh my gosh, my mother is a writer. She's already published at that time 20 books." He says, "Oh, that's nice. Let me tell you about my mother." I said, "You have dogs? I love dogs." "Oh, I love dogs. Let me show you pictures of my dogs." Didn't ask me for pictures of my dogs. This goes on for 2 of the most boring hours of my life. And so after 2 hours, I'm thinking, well, this date obviously is going nowhere. So thank goodness I don't have to go through this again. Well, he takes me to my home, walks me to the door, looks me deep in the eyes and says, "I just want to tell you, you're the most fascinating woman I've ever met. I'd love to see you again." Well, I never saw Paul again, but what made me interesting to him is I was interested. Now, I'm not telling you to go on a date with a guy named Paul, but what I am saying is the best way to be captivating is to listen and to truly listen. Because when we listen to somebody else, they feel felt, they feel seen. And after we've done that, that's when we can be captivating with our presentation skills. That's when we can use our body language, which is a great way to be captivating, is to learn how to present, right? Communication is 7% verbal, 38% tonality, and 55% our body language. And this is a skill that we need to learn and that we need to practice. Presentation skills are a skill. The other skill we need to learn is storytelling. I tell people in sales all the time, we can have a pile of facts, data, and figures generated by AI, but still fail to create change, still fail to get the sale. That doesn't mean we abandon facts completely, but it does mean we have to take those facts and weave it into meaning, a compelling story. Because stories create actions. Facts tell, stories sell. Stories create momentum. It was about 5 years ago before COVID when I got a call and I was so excited. I got asked to be on a reality TV show. Yep, that's right. And I thought, now it was not the Housewives, but I thought, okay, I'm going to get to be famous on TV. I've worked very hard in sales. I've worked very hard on LinkedIn. I'm going to be a TV star. Who doesn't want to be a TV star? Now, if you want to see this show, because I was in it, I believe it's on at 2 in the morning on Roku in China or something. It didn't go well. The show didn't do very well. But I got a great story. Now, the way this worked, the way this TV show worked, is that it was sort of like Shark Tank, meaning that we were helping entrepreneurs with their presentation skills so that they could move on to get funding for their products and services. Now, I'm going to show you a scene from the actual show. This is me coaching a gentleman named Aaron on TV on the set. And I was preparing him to go to the Shark Tank to ask for money. And I was reviewing his pitch. And he had an incredible new product. It was an app to help fight opioid addiction. And he had a great business plan. And he had tried to get funding for 2 years and kept getting rejected, which was strange because he could show the ROI, the return on investment. And he already had a few customers using this app to help patients that had problems with drug addiction. And he was doing well, but he couldn't get money. And as I'm talking to him, my colleague says to me, Shari, I think there's more to this story. Ask him why he started this app company. What's his story? And so I did. I said, Adam, I'm curious, why did you leave a perfectly good 6-figure job to start this app company for opioid addiction? And his whole demeanor changed. And he said, well, I'll tell you. He said, my grandfather was an addict. And on his deathbed, he asked my father, who was a doctor, his final wish was please dedicate part of your medical practice to helping my brothers and sisters in Narcotics Anonymous so that they can be free of drugs. And then this grown man started bawling. He said, 3 years ago, my father's son, my own brother, died of an overdose. And that's when I decided I was going to dedicate my life to my grandfather's last request. That's why I started this app. And I said, Aaron, I want you to go to the Shark Tank and I want you to tell that story. Don't show your charts and graphs. I want you to start with that story. He said, no, I got to show my business plan. I said, please trust me. You start there. You start with a story. 20 minutes later, he goes on this big stage. He tells that story. There is not a dry eye in the place, not a cameraman, not a shark, not an audience. Everybody's crying because it was a story that everybody felt in their soul. And the meanest, toughest shark said, $250,000, I'm in. And he got over $1 million on that very day before he ever got to the numbers. Aaron had all the facts. Until that moment, what he didn't have was a story. So I want you to ask yourselves, what's my story? And do you know how to tell it? It's one of the most important things we teach. We're a training company and we teach story selling as a skill. What are the stories that salespeople must tell? And there's 5 stories that we must tell. Connection story, company story, success story. We should overcome objections with a story, but we need to know how to tell them right. You see, AI can give us the facts, but AI can never tell your story. What's your story? That's how to be captivating in a time of AI. And finally, let's talk about what I feel is probably the most important skill any human being can have, and that's compassion. Are we compassionate? You know, we're talking today about 2 words and how we can succeed in a time of these 2 words. And those 2 words are artificial intelligence. And let me tell you, in the economy, it's a race. I mean, it's bigger than the Olympics. Every company is racing to have the best AI, from India to China to the US to everywhere. People are putting billions into artificial intelligence. Companies are replacing humans with artificial intelligence. For us to make it in the future, we need to do everything AI can't do. Let's take a look at what artificial intelligence actually means. I looked it up in the dictionary. Well, virtually, in the virtual dictionary. I actually had AI look up the meaning of AI. And here's what it came up with. First, I looked at the word artificial. What does artificial mean? Lacking in natural or spontaneous quality? Imitation, scam, contrived, not genuine, unnatural, bogus, fake. So I might warn you, as you worry, is AI going to take my job? As we're all in this race for AI, and don't get me wrong, AI is a great supporter. Let's be really clear on what people that double down on AI are racing away from. Let's look at what does the opposite of artificial mean? Genuine, natural, honest, sincere, true, heartfelt. That's who we need to be. Those are the eulogy virtues that need to define us in this new time of AI. Our customers are screaming for a person, not a bot. I don't know about you, but self-service isn't customer service. It's not. And what's happening is everything is coming down to a computer and we miss the human touch. AI has a goal. Humans have a soul. And that's what we need to get back to. I'm going to end with a story of something that I saw happen right here in Park City, Utah, where I live. I mentioned earlier, we have a big film festival here once a year. It's called the Sundance Film Festival. 80,000 people come to the Sundance Film Festival every single year. And we're a small town. I live in a small town of maybe 30,000 people. So our population triples. All the people are coming to watch movies, and they're independent films. They're great films that help make change in the world. Well, I was walking by one of my favorite restaurants, and the restaurant is known for its wonderful chef named Pierre. And it's usually busy, but this time during Sundance, there was probably 40 people that were stretched outside of the restaurant. And I know the manager, the hostess, and I said to her, Raquel, how in the world are you going to seat all these people with just one chef? And she says, oh, that's easy. We just hired a lot of sous chefs. And that's when something hit me. AI is like a sous chef. It does automated tasks. It cuts the onions. It cuts the carrots. But only Pierre, only the master chef can come out to our table and say, Shari, how's your son? How are your aging parents? How are you? You see, only the master chef can put the love in the food. And it's our jobs to show compassion with everybody we meet and with everything we do. It's our job as salespeople, as sales leaders, as women to take the charge on compassion and to put the love in the food. I want to end with this. I just grabbed this picture of my mother in South Africa. I told some of you when we got on early that for my mother's 90-year-old birthday, I took her on a safari. It was her dream to South Africa. Now, I got to tell you, my mother loves South African men. I don't have the exact picture of her with the South African man, but let me tell you, she did not let go of them. And we went to Africa together. I surprised her. She got off the plane in Joburg and she sobbed when she saw the people and she saw the landscape, because she had dreamed of going there all of her life. And she got to fulfill that dream after a life of curiosity and courage and being compelling and a life of compassion. And she said, if I die tomorrow, it was all worth it. This is a picture of me and my mother in South Africa. And I want to leave you with something she told me when I was a small child. She said, Shari, we are all more alike than different. We're Jewish. Some people are Muslim, some are Christian, some are Hindu, some are Mormon, some are Catholic. God has many children, and God sends different messengers to different children. Look for how we're alike, not for how we're different. That is true compassion. So thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Shari. That was such an insightful one. And thank you for all your wonderful stories as well. Thank you for also reminding us that while technology may evolve, that our humanity remains our greatest strength. Thank you for the skills you taught us that makes us human. You said we have to stay curious, we have to have courage, stay captivated, and above all, have compassion. Thank you so much. This was such a wonderful session. Thank you very much. So if you have any question for Shari, you can either raise your hands to ask your question or please leave them in the chat box and then we'll just read them out for her to answer questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Annabelle. Do you mind me saying something? I'm looking
Yes,
for
please.
my...
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Good evening, everyone. Shari, you know, one of the most amazing things for me about this community is that if you think that you know everything, in a community where you have women from all over the world coming together to support each other, then you have the wrongest ideas. I came into this this call after having a very, very crazy couple of days. I was a little reluctant about coming in because I really just wanted to rest. But I'm not sure that I would have forgiven myself if I didn't join this call, because what I've gained in the last 45 minutes is more than any school can ever teach me. And I pride myself with a sizable amount of knowledge, but to hear these things that are soft, relatable, connectable, to hear things that you hear every day but do not really think very deeply about, just as a character that a salesperson really, really, truly needs, away from the theoretical stuff that the books teach you. I think that this is more, there's so much more to gain just sharing like this than any school, any degree can give you. And I'm truly grateful. Thank you very much. This has been very, very elevating. There's nothing you've said that I haven't heard before, but just to hear you say it with so much emotion and connection, with so many examples that one can relate to. I was thinking about the story of your mom. I was eavesdropping even before I said I was on the call. But one of the things that struck me in that conversation, just relating it to just being a salesperson, is She has hungered for this desire of hers to go to South Africa for such a long time. She finally has it, and she's just taking advantage of everything. And it feels like it wasn't even part of a dream that she had had before. She's leaving it right now, and this is the life of a salesman. You know, many things don't walk your way when you're looking to pitch something, but consistency speaks to what the end of that transaction is or isn't. You know, and confidence does the same thing, and courage does the same thing. Like she just never really gave up on her hope and her desires to go there. She remained curious about it. Um, and she got there and is grabbing every man she sees because, you know, she's always wanted to do that. And that's such a sales it's a sales thing. It's almost like when you then finally achieve that goal as a salesperson, you're just eating off everything. You know, it's almost like, yeah, now have it. And from there on, you know, it's what's my next, dream to achieve? What's the next place I'm going? You know, you just feel renewed hope and courage, and everything is so new. You just want to start the sale again. Yeah, thank you very much for this. It was quite impactful. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to say that I put out free training on LinkedIn, almost 3 or 4 videos every single week. So please follow me, connect with me. I will connect with you back, and we can continue the conversation on LinkedIn if I don't see you in person someday soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Shari, and thank you, Dr.
Thank
Yadi,
you, Mary
for speaking
Shari.
on our behalf. Sorry, Gift, before Shari
Okay.
leaves, because I know she may not stay to the end of this section. Thank you so much,
Mm.
Shari, for this seed you have sown in our community today. And what I would like to say is that this which you have sowed in our life, may God continue to reward and take you to places. And I feel the best way for us to reciprocate this is also to be able to put this in practice and also make sure that those who are coming behind us also learn from us. And this is also the key objective of what we do here in the community, to make sure we pass the legacy which we've learned to the next generation also. Thank you so much to you, Shari, and thank you so much to your team. I really appreciate you all. And we're going to stay connected. Please also follow her on Instagram, not only on LinkedIn, she's active on LinkedIn and also on Instagram, because I think I connected with her on Instagram before I went to look for her on LinkedIn. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shari. We don't have any questions. We just have like so many people commenting your session. Someone actually says that you have a very beautiful smile. Very, very beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Shari.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so from the human advantage in the age of AI, we now turn to another essential pillar of sales leadership, which is purpose. Because when sales are rooted in purpose, trust deepens. So it is my pleasure to introduce our next keynote speaker, a voice that's grounded in experience, integrity, and impact. Please join me in welcoming Olanike Kolawole. Olanike brings over 30 years of expertise across banking and pharmaceuticals. She's highly respected in sales coach and development finance expert. Today, she'll guide us through purpose-driven selling in financial services, showing how leading with purpose strengthens strengths, deepens customer loyalty, and drives long-term growth. Our work also reminds us that when we sell with intention and integrity, we don't just close deals, that we build legacies. Please give a well-deserved welcome to Olanike Kolawole. I don't know if she's on the call. Uwamaka, is she on the call?
Please just give me a minute to confirm, please. Try to call
Okay.
her. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, yes, she's here. Just give her. I think her presentation is coming up too. She's here.
Good afternoon. I mean, evening we should talk
Hey,
about.
Olanike, welcome.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me clearly?
yes,
Okay.
we can hear
Good
you.
afternoon. I'm so excited to be among wonderful people this evening, and there's a good one put together by really very courageous people, like the last speaker said, because I must tell you, for you to be in sales, you can't be a lazy person.
More
I
opinion.
was just discussing with some people before the start of this. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello? Okay. All right. So I said I was just discussing with some people about sales generally, sales job generally, and we were discussing that, well, it's not for lazy people. Is a serious job. And but the good thing about sales job is that the salespeople are actually the true hero of every organization, because nothing happens until sales is made. And so that's why the salespeople are the heroes of every organization. I know we spend about 1 hour, so I'm not going to take so much of your time. I will be fast, but I will give examples that we can all relate easily with. We were talking about financial services today. And when we're talking about financial services, we're talking about banking, investment banking, insurance, capital market, advisory services, mortgage lending, fintechs, payments, and others. What's our definition of sales in the context of financial services? It's the process of promoting, recommending, facilitating the purchase of financial products or services such as investment products, insurance policies, loans, pensions, banking products to individuals and businesses. Selling is persuasion, but for this afternoon, I will say selling is not persuasion. We're talking about stewardship this afternoon. We'll get there. What are the challenges in selling financial services? I've done this to close to 30 years of my life. And what do people say about the reputational problems of those of us who are in financial services? I know quite a number of my colleagues are on this call, my ex-colleagues that are invited to join this. Everybody believes that financial services salespeople do not tell them about the hidden charges, and nobody likes to pay the charges. Everybody screams about bank charges. There is impression of overselling. I mean, promising more than what the product can actually deliver. Sometimes in credit, people just hear, okay, I have this loan products and interest rate is 20% or 30%, and it's for 2 years or it's for 5 years. And then suddenly after a year or two, you want to pay down. And I took this loan at 5 million. I want to pay down. And then your relationship manager shows you and said, this is your 5 million loan. The total principal left after 1 year is still 4.5 million. And then people will start screaming, how? I've been paying for 1 whole year. How can my principal be this? The problem is the salesperson has not sold well. The salesperson did not actually show the repayment schedule. And the repayment schedule of a term loan will show you that the bulk of the interest is at the beginning and then little of the principal. Those are the kind of problems that we have with challenges of financial services. Product dumping. I mean, an average salesman, because of the target, just want to meet your target. You just want to dump the products. And then later the customer finds out, do I really need this? How did I even sign up for this? or products that customers don't even understand. So at the end of the day, it leads to what I call poor sales outcome. There is what we call poor sales outcome. There is good sales outcome. What is purpose-driven selling? I would define this to mean approaching sales with a clear intention to create real value for the customer, not just to close the deal. If you cannot create value, you have not sold. You think you have sold, but you haven't sold. Because at the end of the day, the kind of outcome that is expected, you may not get it. Number one, the customer might not be retained. Number two, the customer will drop off so soon. You will not be able to cross-sell. That means selling 2, 3, 4 products to the same customer. The customer cannot even refer. If it's loan, the loan will go back. So the focus is to shift from what can I sell to how am I actually helping? How does this genuinely improve the situation of this customer? That is when you can say you are selling with purpose. If the customer reviews what you have sold to him after 5 years, will he be happy with you? That's when you know whether you have actually sold with purpose. Will the customer be happy? So if you're talking about purpose-driven selling, we're talking about long-term satisfaction of the customer, establishing trust and loyalty of the customer. That's what purpose-driven sales is all about. I was talking about outcome. What kind of outcome are we talking about? The focus should be on customers' outcome rather than just transaction. What many of the salespeople do is what we call transactional sales. Let me just get the target done and let me just run. That's what my organization wants. But at the end of the day, because many of us on this call this evening, we are sales leaders. And so we will talk about the fact that we should move from ordinary target sales to what we can call quality sales. Quality sales means the client enjoy the benefit from the product for a long time. And it means the customers need an aspiration. So we're not talking about soft selling either. We're talking about ethical practices in selling. Having the interest and the welfare of the customer at the end of the day. Why does purpose really matter? I mean, majority of us here are Nigerians. When we're talking about is high stake, is high stake that we're talking about here. Financial decisions are high stake, and trust is the currency in financial services. Trust is the currency. Trust is the currency, and it is the regulated environment. Every regulation, are more informed than some years back. They have details, they have information. This is the digital age. There's nothing you are doing that the customer cannot research about. So you can't just sell the way we used to sell some years back going forward. We're talking about long-term revenue depending on what you're able to bring in today. So the bottom line is that whatever it is you are doing on purpose, it should protect the client, it should build trust, it should support what we call regulatory compliance. That's of purpose-driven selling that I have highlighted. Number two, is it ethical? Are you recommending that solution just because you want to make sales or the commission you are going to take? even if it's the most profitable product for you, but is it the ideal product for the customer? We're talking LTV now. LTV is the focus. Long-term value for the customer. So success in this case is measured by trust, retention, outcomes, not just monthly target. Clarity and transparency is key. Communicate the risk. Let the customer know the risk. Let the customer know the cost. You can't sell a loan product without explaining details of even fees that will be charged or the way the loan is calculated. You cannot just give loan to a customer without discussing. So we're talking about impact-driven motivation at the end of this presentation. So when we're selling with impact, pushing sales from a place of genuine care, empathy, helping the customer, not just anybody that is a top salesperson on this forum will know that you can't even achieve sales without connecting with the customer. Well, what kind of connection are we talking about? We're talking about human connection, not a seller to a buyer kind of connection. We're talking about empathy. So to me, what selling for the heart means empathy first, truly listen to understand the customer's needs and feelings. We talk so much about needs satisfaction selling. You're selling to meet the needs of the customer at heart. Authenticity means going for this call. This is what I'm going to say, then I'll be able to close the sale. But please, top salespeople, what they do is to ask questions, engage with the customers, act from listening actively. You'll be able to bring out the benefits that your product has that can satisfy those needs. So that's how to show up as a real person. Care beyond the sale and put relationship over transaction. It's about and support the customer. As a top salesperson, you're supposed to be a value-led behavior now in customer. How will the customer feel at the end of the day after you sold? They really listen to me. I didn't really feel pressure. They explain things in a way that I can understand. I feel respected and safe making my decision. That is when you can say you've actually sold. If you compare traditional sales with selling from the heart, focus is close the sales, put the customer in, but sure that his needs are met. From the heart sales, it should be relationship. Everything is on the script. This is how I'm going to say. We're talking about conversational now. Actively to the customers, from listening actively, find out what the needs are, bring out the benefits that your product has to meet the needs of the customer. All we want in traditional sales is short-term wins. Okay, I've delivered 100 accounts this month for consumer kind of customers. SME kind of customers, I've delivered 5 customers, but will they last? We're talking about long-term trust. And the orientation should not be on product-centered. This is a product that they've given us to go and sell. Let's just go and sell the products. It should be person-centered. Does the market need the products? Somewhere along, maybe when we're doing question and answer, I'll give an experience of a part of my career life that I was able to challenge the status quo. This product that we are churning out in the market does not need it. And if you do not change it, nothing will happen. Lo and behold, we changed it and everything changed. That is what we mean by selling with value. Not product-centered, but person-centered. For banking, I mean, because you can't talk generally, customers are not the same. We segment customers into different categories because these categories will determine how you handle different customers. For the retail and what we call the bottom of the pyramid, most of the time servicing the customer is mostly digital, but we will discuss even other things that we should consider. And then the next is the SME, and then the corporate, and then what we call the high network individuals. For the bottom of the pyramid, the retail customers, the customer type are only individuals, household, basic banking, loans, card, insurance. But the trust strategy should be transparent communication, user-friendly digital tools, and financial education. If somebody is not literate, it might be difficult to sell mobile to an extent, but they can take cards. But an average Nigerian, I mean, the new generation, the 80% of population that are young people now, they can deal with mobile and all that. So the trust strategy should be user-friendly digital tool and financial education so that they know why they're buying the savings product, why they should move from a savings product to investment product that will give them higher yield, and they can conserve their investment and grow their investment. The loyalty strategy here should be seamless omni-channel experiences because, I mean, if they don't have good experience with your products, they will dump the products. And quick issue resolution. This is the bottom of the pyramid. The number here is huge, and issue resolution is key for this category of customers. And the growth strategy for them is digital innovation, data-driven, personalization, and cross-selling. That's the growth strategy. A bottom of the pyramid customer doesn't need to buy only a savings product from you. Should be able to have a current account if there's need for it. For some of them, they just want savings because they don't want charges. So you can't force current account on them. They need card. They need mobile. They need internet banking. If you are not able to cross-sell, you can't grow. Because the growth of the bottom of the pyramid is based on the transaction counts. And if a customer has only one product with you, you have not had a successful outcome of your sales experience. That's what we call successful outcome, cross-selling. The SME, the customer type, they are small, medium enterprises, business account, loan, and payments. Basically, that's what they need. The trust strategy is dedicated relationship manager because they need to explain how the loan works. If somebody needs ordinary OD, why will you sell term loan to them that is more expensive? Because you want to make money. Because it will just need some 100,000 or 200,000 once in a while. So they need relationship manager who will explain to them why they need OD and they do not even need a term loan. So it's genuine partnership and relationship management. And the loyalty strategy here is bundle services, regular business review to review what they're doing as their cash flow change. Is the turnover getting better? If the turnover is getting better, they can actually have more value for their loan. For somebody who was taking 1 million before, the turnover has grown so much, needs to be moved to 2 million so that the business can grow. Those are the kind of discussion we should be having. Supporting client growth, referrals, and ecosystem partnership, yes, is the growth strategy here. Because if you don't support their growth, you will lose them to who is able to sell better than you. And let me tell you the truth, when it comes to financial services, we all sell almost the same thing. So it's selling from the heart that will make so much difference. For the corporate customers, these are big and large businesses. Services are mostly treasury products, commercial credit, capital market, advisory services. And the trust strategy here is deep industry expertise. You cannot be a relationship manager here without understanding their business. You have to be an expertise in what they do and become a financial advisor. And you must have what we call some confidentiality is involved there, and proven track record of understanding what their business is for you to contribute to the business goal. And the loyalty strategy is co-creating solutions, priority support, integrated global solution, because here some of them will need already into cross-border capability, some innovation into what they're doing, that you sit down and ask questions so that you can know what you can provide in terms of solution. And lastly is the high net worth individual, the rich and wealthy people. What they need is to manage their wealth, to grow their wealth. And so the trust strategy here is tailored advice, utmost privacy, long-term performance focus, not about only the $500 million they're going to give you now. You have to think long-term. The holistic loyalty strategy here is holistic life goal planning, exclusive access, multi-generational engagement. You must be able to be close to the customer, that the customer will refer you to his children and his children's children. We got to the level that we have to pay school fees of grandchildren when we are managing this kind of customers. In superior return, family wealth transfers and referrals at the end of the day. So for everybody on this call, to close, I will talk about 7 steps of impact. Number 1, measure people on outcome, not only on activity, not on the calls they make, visits and all that, but positive outcomes like customer retention, cross-selling, repeat sales, referrals. That's what you should be tracking. Even though we know the targets are there, but if you actually measure this positive outcome, it will actually produce even what we want at the end of the day. If you focus on the customers, the positive outcome rather, of retention, of cross-selling, of trust, peer sales, referrals. And you need to protect your staff from a realistic target and show them. There's nothing wrong once in a while to tell management this target is unrealistic. Sometimes the targets needs to actually be reviewed with market situation. Nigeria, in the last 1 or 2 years now, we are in high inflation environment. And so the target can't be the same as it was about 3-4 years ago. Number 3, build your people. Build the salespeople. What I see is leaders in sales throwing people out there without training them. They need to be trained on basic selling skills, basic financial planning, emotional intelligence, selling for value, relationship management. We need to handhold them. We need to train them. We need to lead from the front. We need to show them how it's done. That is how to lead with impact. Make trust leadership KPI. Track mis-selling. Track bad loan book and give it back to them so that they do it the right way. Don't joke with all the flags. Let them know that people need to do the right thing. And also, as leaders, tell the truth up and down and sideways. Tell the truth of the market to the executives in the office. As a salesperson, I follow my team to the market. And every time I go to the market, I see a new dimension to what you think the market is. So I come back, I say, the market has moved, though. This is what this person has just launched. This is what the market is saying. Let's not just fool ourselves. Let people not just turn our product because we want to turn our product. Let's tell the truth to the executive. Let people know the risk and limitation of the product that we're selling. Honesty will cost something, but it's still good to be on the side of the truth. Model the behavior you want people to repeat. What you want people to repeat, model it too as a leader. Leave the system better than you found it. True impact is legacy. So I would say purpose, trust, growth. Start with purpose, build trust, and achieve sustainable growth. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olanike. Thank you for this session. I really love how you explained what it means to sell with heart. Do we have any questions for Olanike before she goes off? So we can dive into our panel session. If you have any question, you can kindly raise your hands or probably just leave it in the chats, and then I'll just read it out for her to answer. Do we have any questions, any contributions? Okay. In the absence of that, I don't think we have any questions for
Gift,
you.
I was raising up my hands.
Oh yes, Ruth. Sorry. Oh yeah, Ruth, you can
Okay.
ask the question now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much, Ma. That was really, really insightful. I gained so much, and I really, really resonate so much deeply with the selling with the heart. It's a most sustainable way to sell. But I have a question. So, for cases where you're in an organization and the organization does not give room for selling valuable products, like you mentioned in one of the cases that you had gone into the market and you had seen that the market had moved, right? How is it possible to, what do you think is more feasible in this case? Is it feasible for me to, I mean, assuming I do not have a job yet and I'm trying to get into the whole sales career thing, is it more feasible for me to check in for if the product is sustainable, check with the company before I get in, or that I'm in the company already, knowing fully well that this product is not sellable, I still go in with the mindset of trying to innovate or trying to tilt the company to a stage where they see that the product is sustainable or the product is sellable? Which do you think is more feasible for a sales professional in the marketplace?
How we want to imagine, will a company actually come out, bring out a product that doesn't have any value? Okay. The example I was giving had to do with financial services.
Yeah.
In which we have products that the features of the products are not what the market needs. What I did, I mean, I was out of the country. I was just brought into the country to come and actually pioneer a product. And when I came in, I found out that the product wasn't successful. About 2 people have left the job because they could not make a success of it. And I'm like, oh, I mean, these are brilliant people. I mean, I'm not even an IT person, but this is a product that needs you to understand a bit of it's a digital product. Why will you bring me to come and do this? But I've come in. What I did was to enter the market, gather information about the market. I'm like, what? This is not what the market wants. The key features that this product has, the market doesn't want it. The market has moved beyond what you are selling. So I came back and I said, you know what? With what we are selling, we're not going to make any headway. If nobody has said this before, I'm saying this now. Can you do this for me? I went to IT department. Can we get this done? Can we get this done? I was lucky they got one done. They got one done and figures started moving. And everybody was like, we thought this particular department is a dead department. We're seeing results. What? So I got accolade for 3 months, bam, 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 bam. After 3 months, you know, that one feature or benefit rather is not enough to sustain me. I still need that another feature that nobody is listening to me for. And I said, you know what? This is growing, but do you know I will do 5 times of this if you allow this? And I wrote mails, I did this, did that, and all that. And people who are supposed to work on product development because IT say, okay, we'll work at it, we'll work at it. But I later realized people were posting me, and this is my career. My job is on the line. I will lose my job. I cannot be collecting salary when I'm not bringing revenue. You know what I did? I escalated to the most senior person, and the most senior person escalated to the group CEO. The group CEO called the group head of IT, and then I was happy. Nobody will be happy that you are reporting them. But I was happy. I didn't come to work to come and play. We are friends. But what you have given me, I cannot sell. He was selling in other market, but it's not okay for Nigeria market. At the end of the day, I got what I wanted, and the figures showed, and everybody felt I was a G. Na lie. I wasn't a G. I was just bold enough to challenge the status quo. Do you understand? So for the company you're talking about, if it's a financial product, I don't know. But if it's not a financial product, it might actually be that the product, it might be just ordinary analyzing who needs this product, what target market needs this product, the product that is needed by top end of the market or middle market is sold to the bottom of the pyramid, who cannot afford it, and you are hitting your head on the wall. You are not. So there is a lot to be done in marketing in terms of market segmentation, product positioning to the correct target market, and then how do you enter the market for the correct market that you will enter. Is a lot which we call marketing plan for a particular product. So it's a lot that is needed. So I don't think an organization will bring a product to the whole of the country or be producing a product when they don't have a need. It might just be not positioning to the correct target market, and the market is not segmented to know the segment of the market that actually need the product. Selling is not so difficult. Sometimes we just don't know what to do. You see an average salesman who is going to go and be selling investment product to somebody who is just living a little bit above poverty line, that cannot even save 10% of his income. How will that kind of person buy your insurance product? It won't work. Or you sell a loan product to somebody that the cash flow cannot even sustain repayment. There is what we call cash flow analysis. I mean, when I first started banking, I've sold a loan product to somebody that the cash flow looks good. But then I hadn't gone for training on understanding, sitting down with customer to actually put down details of the cash flow in terms of expenses. So somebody is collecting 5 million in a month. If the expenses in a month is higher, children abroad or children in Ivy League school, even in Nigeria, might not be able to pay. Those are the training that we need to lead to get our people to know. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I mean, basic training on understanding how to sell the product. And we just throw them on the street and they say selling is hard, but nobody has trained them enough on what to do to sell effectively well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have another hand up. Gifty, please unmute and ask your question.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you so much for the insight shared, Ma. Thank you. My question is, what do you do as a salesperson when you can see that you are trying to sell with your heart, and so you're building relationships, And as you are building relationships, they come in and then they buy. Now, after buying, you realize that what was promised them, you've been trained to say this, to say that this is what we do, this is what we do, this the value we give. Then afterwards, you see that they come in and that is not what is being done for them. That is also going to affect the relationship that you are building. And then you complain about it or you talk about it, and then you are told that focus on this and leave this. Is that enough reason for you as a salesperson to leave that place, or is there another way that can be solved? Thank you.
I would say you should do everything within your power to actually, there's a lot of emotional intelligence also involved in managing leadership and executives. Because I spoke so much about ethics. You cannot overpromise and underdeliver. And ethics is very, very important, especially in financial services sales. It's about trust. Trust. I lay so much emphasis on trust. I mean, if we promise we're going to do this, we must be able to. And I think it's something that you can manage with what we call leadership or your direct reports. And if there's a way of even escalating. But if it doesn't work, I mean, because I don't want to mention some organization that you may not be able to work for. When I was very young and starting my career in sales, I would say I can't work for an Indian company. I'm sorry to say that. Maybe I shouldn't say so. Because, I mean, if you cannot stand by what you believe in or what you promise, it's highly unethical. If you have promised this, that this product comes with this, it will deliver this, it must be able to deliver it. If it's not going to deliver it, I'm not going to sell it. And it might be a reason to actually leave the organization if I'm not comfortable with that. But at least we will have tried internally emotional intelligence of sitting down with the top leadership. This is what we promise. We're not delivering. This is a bad reputation on the organization. Can we look at it this way and all that? So I think your name is also important and your career is also important. So your relationship is your network later on, even in life. So I mean, I will not go and sell what I know the organization will not deliver on. So if it's not right, one can leave. That's the way I feel.
Okay,
ethics
thank you.
is important in sales and financial services. Ethics, trust, very important.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we'll only accommodate 2 more questions so we can move into the panel session. So Deborah, yeah, you can ask your question.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, ma'am, for your section. So it was really interesting and very insightful. So my question is this, is a bit like the previous question that was answered, but in a different light, yeah. Now, in a situation as a salesperson, if there's something that poses a bit of a challenge for us out there, is the competition. Every salesperson has a competition out there that has features that may be a bit better off than what you have to offer. Now, in a situation like that, where you don't have all you need, or your company doesn't provide you all you need to win in the market, you don't really have all the, let's say, visibility materials to be out there, and your competition has all this, and you keep, focusing on relationship building, working with relationship. the compassion, the empathy, the trying to build your communication skills and having that human to human, talk. But you don't have all the materials in terms of customer need to satisfy the customer need. How do you keep going in that aspect? Because truth be told, your customer know what they need. And if they're not seeing it coming and seeing it coming from the competitor, at a point, your relationship might not, might crack. It might not keep pushing you forward. But then how do you sustain that customer base? How do you continue, pushing even without having all the support you need out there in the markets? What do you think?
I've been in that situation in my life. I can tell you for free that there's no organization that has it all. I've been selling in a situation that competitor has like 2-3 benefits better than what we were selling. And we know. And we know before we can put that in place, it will take time. And it's also costly. It's expensive. And when it comes to business will say, how much have you brought as revenue? What expenses are we? You must cover your costs, and all that. So in your selling, there will be a lot of questioning back and forth and then listening and all that. From your positioning of the benefits of what you have, you will know whether it's something that the customer can or will, based maybe on your zeal and your relationship, will be willing to. Some of those features might not be that bad. For example, I had competition that issue resolution is digital based, and I was selling with manual issue resolution. Imagine how bad it is. Do you know what we did? We trained the salespeople so well on, if this happens, this is likely to be the issue. If this happens, so the salespeople, apart from selling, they became solver of issue resolution. And because of that, the customer actually loved them for it. The only difference is that they spend more time on the field, and we have more people on the field than competition. The competition that has issue resolution digitally resolved, they don't need anybody on the road. You have issue, there's a site, you drop your issue, and it will be telling you, okay, we're working on it. In 1 hour, we'll get back to you. In 30 minutes, we're almost there. Okay, we're done. Phone refunded back into your account. And for my own people, they will sit down with the customer, escalate, because we have people in head office too, that you escalate the issue to, and online, they'll quickly resolve and all that. That's how tough it was. But targets, revenue must be made. Will my company work towards it? They're working towards it, but it will take 6 months. Am I going to fold my hands and say, because we don't have this right now, I will just throw my hands in the wind, then I don't deserve my monthly salary? Do you understand? So there are some that may not be that bad, but there are some that might actually kill the sale. So it depends. So if it's something that will kill the sale, your sale might not be as fantastic that you will be, and you continue to push so that those who are working on innovation on your product will continue to work on it. Do you understand? If it's something that is so bad that it will kill sale, it might be very difficult to cope with. But there's no organization that has it all. I can tell you, for the number of years I've worked in sales, no organization has it all. Especially now in this digital era. By the time we think we're even solving the problem, The competition has come with a step ahead again, and we survived. So relationship is key in some of those things, and selling from the heart. So some of the customers know that you guys, you don't have this, but you guys, we can call on you. We know you. We have your office that we can always run to. So we will still be using your devices and and we're able to push. Thank you. I don't know whether I'm able to answer your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, you were able to answer my question. And I just wanted to point out something though. Sometimes it looks as if the person makes excuses each time this kind of situation reduces sales or affects sales. You get? So it has to do with the understanding of your organization. If they get to understand the challenge itself, it will be easier for you to cope with. In a situation where the organization always is after the numbers without listening to the excuses, that is where it becomes
because the executives
frustrating.
don't go out. That's the problem I have. The senior executives don't want to go out. I mean, I challenge my bosses. I mean, come and see how the market has moved. The market has moved. Do you understand? So, and that's one of the things I said about sales leaders here. Lead from the front. Go out and hold your people, and hold them, and see it for yourself, so that when they're complaining, you can see it. But executive or sales leaders who sit in the office and all they want to see, figure, without coming out to see how the market has moved. I'm sure almost all of us there would have read who moved the cheese has moved, and people will sit down there not knowing that the market has moved, and you are arguing. So, I mean, let's just be the best sales leaders for all of us here, and actually handhold and follow our product to the market to actually see it, so that we will not be like those leaders who will say, you just come here and complain, when the market has moved long time ago. Thank you. I can feel you, especially if you're involved in digital sales. I can feel you. It moves so fast.
Thank you very much. I think Dr. Iyaduni's hand is up. Maya, you can ask your question, or I don't know, contribution.
Hi. Okay. I'm not trying to ask any questions. I want to make a contribution. And I want to make this contribution in response to the question that was asked, the most recent question that was asked. I wanted this contribution to be seen as playing devil's advocate, because when we typically sit at sessions like this, I think one of the things that we need to gain from a community like this is hands-on experience, examples that one can relate to, that can help you better deal with situations, and part of the process involved in a salesman's work. I like to think of this. I'd like my response to think of this slightly different to the angle that we're taking it from, and I'll tell you why. You have to see this from a employer point of view, and also look at it from an employee's point of view. From an employee's point of view, i.e., if I was a staff, I would be living in a fantasy world if I said, oh, my leaders or my sales directors or my managing director should come with me to sell. I mean, you very rarely have situations like that. And business owners and business top senior executives are just, the only thing that they're looking for is numbers. So I like to approach this slightly different. If that was my situation, and I still needed to sell, and I still needed to be on top of my game in my sales work, whatever the industry is, I would like to think of it from a point of view that I don't have any choices. These people will not come with me. They don't understand my realities. They will never understand my realities, but I still have a job to do. it is possible that you have a product or brand that you're saddled with selling, and you don't have everything you require, to be the best and most effective salesman. But what sets you apart really from the person who is looking to be the best and most effective salesman is to be the only salesman. And you see that gap between, trying to be a basic salesman and an excellent salesman is defined by how much creativity you're able to put into making a product and a situation that is not perfect, a perfect sale. I'll give you a typical example. In the last 2 jobs that I've done, again, a practical example so we can see it from a more realistic, more hands-on perspective rather than a theoretical perspective, right? In the hospitality industry.
Can I just quickly add something here? When I say senior executive goes to the market, I'm not talking about MD. I'm not talking about MD. I'm not even talking about executive director. I'm just talking about senior leaders in sales. Do you understand? When we have area manager, regional managers, and all that, actually going to the market to feel the situation of the market, just to bring that correction in. Thank you.
Yeah, no. So I'm clear on that. I mean, I didn't get you wrong. I understood exactly who you were talking about. I was just sort of adding that even that bracket of people, I mean, is not in every organization that you find leaders being servant leaders. Actually, very rarely do you find it. I'm saying in a situation where you are not in control of that, which is usually the case in Nigerian establishments anyway. You're not in control of that. That's not going to change. You still need to be the salesman. You still need to earn your monthly salary, and they would never see it from your point of view. I'm saying that where you are left with not a choice in that regard, you still need, as a salesperson, to find creative ways to work around achieving your goals as a salesman. And just putting that into perspective. And I was going to give an example. For instance, I have worked and I still work in an organization that in a hospitality business where the essence of what we're selling is rooms and food and beverage. I mean, that's what most hotels sell. Now, we started to see a space and a time where a lot of brand chain hotels are springing up every corner you turn to. People who have longevity of stay in business, who have built loyalties, who have built a track record of excellence. And there you are competing as a local brand in that space. There's nothing I'm going to do other than change from being a local hotel to a brand chain hotel if I wanted to compete with brand chain hotels. That would be the logical thing. My management isn't giving me all the resources that I require to even compete in that regard, because these guys are people who have standards and who have quality assurance that are globally acclaimed. So what was the next thing? And my people still expect me to deliver X billions of naira on a monthly basis, and they wouldn't go with me out to the field to see what the competition is giving above and beyond what I'm offering. I'm saying that two things need to apply here. Number one, your eyes on your competition might be a distraction that you need to be conscious of. So while you're there spending a lot of time looking at what the competition is doing, find an identity for yourself, your product, and your brand that in itself sets you apart from the rest. So you need to spend more time finding what that thing is that makes you that extra special brand, even though it's difficult for you to compete. Number two, I think that you also need to consider thinking out of the box. It is cast in stone when you say that an oil and gas company is selling oil, but can they be selling something else that then sets them apart from the rest, in addition to the oil? And can they do a lot better in that regard so that they can gain the kind of brand equity they require to be able to go back to the sale of oil and still excel at it? So let's not box ourselves to things. As salespeople, we have to be creative enough to move beyond the circumstances that we find ourselves in order to make a sale. And part of it will be finding clever ways to walk around creating an identity and a niche for ourselves, our brands and products. And secondly, thinking out of the box. What else can my brand and my product sell that will distract my audience a little bit, because we're all fighting in the same market? Yeah. And that's just what I wanted to add to that conversation, as a way of contribution and a perspective to see it from, rather than fight status quo, also just think beyond status quo and try and find a niche. And I'm very happy to share more practical examples of how that has helped me, how I've been able to achieve that, and how that has helped me in my sales roles in the industries that I've worked. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very, very practical. Very, very practical. I mean, it's possible that there will be a benefit in your own product. It might just be one that will be better that the competitor might not have at that particular time, and it might give you an edge. I've had such experience too before. I mean, just found out, oh, we have this. Apparently, competitor doesn't have it, even though they have 2-3 things better than what I have. And that alone, we're just using it to sell. While the IT people are still struggling with how do we modify those products to meet up with the market need. Thank you, Iyaduni. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Iyaduni. Thank you, Olanike. Thanks to everyone who contributed. As we wrap up today's keynote sessions, I want to sincerely thank incredible keynote speakers for setting such a strong foundation for today's conversation. Today's conversation has reinforced a powerful truth. It says that sales leadership is not just about numbers, it's about people, it's about purpose and the impact that we leave behind. Once more, I'm Annabelle, and it was such an honor to host today's key session. Now we want to move from keynote insights into real-time dialogue as we transition into our panel session. So to take us further, I am pleased to hand over to Ruth, who will be hosting panel session. Ruth, over to you now. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Gift, Annabelle. That was quite a session, and I'm sure everyone picked a thing or two to go practice in their various fields and endeavors. So we'll be going into our panel session, and we'll be having 3 panel session speakers. I'll first introduce our first panel session speaker, Rebecca Ligo. Please, so we're going to shift on to a story shaped by courage and consistency. Rebecca Ligo has built her career leading in highly competitive, male-dominated environments. As a country sales manager at Shalina Healthcare and Queen of Sales Country Representative for Kenya, she brings real-world leadership experience. Today, she will share how to balance ambition with empathy, leading high-performing teams, and grow influence without losing authenticity. Queens and everyone, please give a warm welcome to Rebecca Ligo. Okay, so before then, sorry, we skipped part of the line of activities, would be celebrating our 100 queens. So would take a break before then, before the panel session.
Please, can we do that? Sorry, please,
yeah.
Can we do that after the panel section, please, because of time?
Oh, okay.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we'll be welcoming Rebecca Ligo now. Hi, Rebecca. I saw you shortly before now. Is she still on the call?
I think you can also invite others while she's getting ready.
Okay.
There
Yes,
are
I'm
three of them.
here.
Yes. Go on, why? Okay.
Yes.
You
Okay.
can,
Okay.
you can go on.
Okay. Then our next speaker would be Dr. Iyaduni Gbadebo. She's a leader whose vision inspires teams and whose strategies consistently leave a lasting impact. Please join me as we welcome Dr. Iyaduni Gbadebo, Director of Sales and Marketing at Echo Hotels and Suites and Queen of Sales Country Representative for Nigeria. Today, she'll be sharing insights on what modern customers expect from women in sales leadership and how to lead with influence and impact in today's world. Welcome, Dr. Iyaduni. And our third speaker for today is Humani Matere. Humani Matere is the Global Access Program Lead at Roche, South African's Queen of Sales Country Representative, and one of the top 100 sales queens to follow in 2025. She'll be showing us how bold ideas, global exposure, and courageous leadership turn influence into real impact beyond target and titles. It doesn't end there. She would help strengthen the way you think about sales leadership also. So please welcome Humani Matere. I hope I pronounced the name well. Welcome, everyone. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Ruth.
Yes. Okay. So we'll be starting shortly. Sorry, I have my slides kind of froze, so just give me a moment. Hi, Wamaka. Can we go on with the Queen of Sales while I get on with my issue? The issue I'm having technically here, please.
Okay, please go on.
"2025 wasn't just a year for Queen of Sales, it was a statement." We started with the Queen of Sales Digital Summit, a powerful gathering of minds, ideas, and intention. Women showed up ready to learn, ready to share, and ready to grow. It wasn't about noise. It was about clarity, strategy, and real conversations that moved businesses and careers forward. It doesn't just end there. We collaborated with amazing trailblazers and queens. They don't just sell, but lead with hearts. These are not just faces on the screen. They are stories of grit, consistency, and courage. We celebrate them. We celebrate their resilience. The times they showed up when it was hard, stayed focused when it was quiet, and kept going when results took time. These women didn't just wait for permission. They built trust, closed deals, nurtured relationships, and raised the standard of what excellence in sales truly means. Behind every picture is discipline. Behind every smile is work. And behind every success is a woman who chose growth over comfort. These are the top 100 sales queens to follow, not just because they are perfect, but because they are real, intentional, and impactful. Follow them, learn from them, celebrate them, because when women win in sales, everyone rises. As we step into 2026, Queen of Sales is not just continuing, we are expanding. More rooms, more visibility, more opportunities for women to lead, sell, and succeed with confidence. This is the year we grow louder in impact, together in community, and clearer in purpose. And the best is still ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So sorry about the issue I had with my materials. So we'll get back to our panel session, and I'll be asking the panelists based off on questions we've gathered from the field and even the community itself. A lot of professionals are burning with questions to know personally how it's been for you, having forged ahead, and also seeing how we can glean and learn from that. I'll be asking Rebecca Legal first. So Rebecca Legal, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready,
Okay.
Ruth.
Okay, so how can sales leaders create a culture of adaptability in their team from your
How can?
perspective?
Come up again.
How can sales leaders create adaptability with their team? The culture of adaptability with their teams, especially to such
Okay.
dynamic environments and field.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth, for that question. I'll be straight to the point because of the time factor as well. Number one, I should say that as leaders, we should help our team members to embrace change openly. Sometimes there is change, but we want to handle it like this change is not going to affect you so much. Embrace the change openly. Admit when a particular strategy ain't working so that the team can be able to now start learning how to navigate the change that has occurred. Number two, as well, in helping the team to adapt, anchor the change. If it's about market shift, help them to understand why is the market shifting. Allow them to also know how do we protect growth and relevance amidst the change that we are having. Number three, empower decision making. During moments of change, ask your team members, what do you feel about this? What are some of the new ways of doing things that we can develop? Number four, normalize learning and unlearning. What worked in 2025 might not work in 2026. So normalize learning and unlearning. Number five, it's good to build a psychological safety. When people are safe, they adapt to change more easily than when people are fearful. So allow the team members to be safe. And last but not least, have consistent communication. Consistent communication enables your team to navigate any kind of change. I hope that's helpful. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
That was really helpful. Always on learning and relearning.
Yes.
So my next question, I mean, based off on what Rebecca has said, it goes to Fumani. So how can sales leaders now encourage continuous learning in a fast-paced environment, considering digitization, AI technology that our earlier keynote speaker had spoken about? How do you think we can inculcate that?
So what I think is sales leaders can encourage continuous learning by making it practical, visible, and rewarding, right? You need to integrate learning into your daily tasks. So small, you share bite-sized tips, information, you look at quick wins, you look at also real-time deal feedback. And also as a sales leader, you need to lead by example. You need to demonstrate some kind of curiosity if you're a sales leader. You cannot be a sales leader and be complacent, right? You always have to want to grow, and you need to show that to your team as well. You also need to attend trainings. And if there's any training that you found insightful, you encourage the team to, look into that training or look into that TED Talk, because learning is not just sitting behind a laptop and learning, or with a book in your hands and learning, but it's also learning through practical examples. If somebody has done something brilliant, then there's also things where you look at best practice sharing. That is also another form of learning. But also when you look at an individual that has not performed to your expectation, you go back and you discuss that. You give real-time feedback, because that is also an opportunity to learn. When somebody makes an error, it is an opportunity for them to learn something new. And as Rebecca said, you need to learn to unlearn. So if somebody has done something and you feel this is something that they need to unlearn, by always having continuous training, continuous feedback, then you're able to unlearn what you've learned as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. And being able to unlearn and relearn based off on feedback, that's very good. And of course, most times we know this head knowledge, but being able to translate it mentally in the field of our career is also another thing. So, I mean, Dr. Yaduni, could you help us explain how we can actually take ownership in a digital transformative environment, considering what is happening currently? Yes, of course, we know we need to adapt to changes, right? Like our earlier speakers have spoken. How do you advise sales leaders to be able to take sales leadership in a very transformative digital world?
Right. I think taking ownership is an important characteristic of an excellent salesman. And I'm not sure whether I feel like it has a bearing in a digital world or, in a traditional marketing world. I think either way, like just taking ownership of things is taking responsibility for the outcomes. And I don't know, I think the first speaker had mentioned, Shari had mentioned something like that, just responsibility, and taking ownership of stuff. But if you narrow it down more specifically to the current digital environment, I would say that taking responsibility is also being knowledgeable about where we are today, in the sales, in the salesman's world, that with the world moving as fast as it is technologically, you would remain obsolete if you do not accept that that's our reality. I'm not saying that you must conform with where the new digital world is going, but I personally am still living in a very old mindset, in a very traditional mindset, and I'm still taking a lot of, the old favorite means and ways and strategies of selling. I'm still using them very effectively, and I'm still seeing results. I understand and I see that we're in a digital world, but in that world, in today's world, I'm very knowledgeable about what today's world is, but I'm only taking things that are absolutely important to me in delivering my sales responsibilities, because I find that it's too fast. I find I'm one of the I'm the 1% of people who still haven't come to terms with how fast technology and just this new world is taking charge of everything. I'm very worried and skeptical about how many jobs are going to go, but I understand and I'm fully, top of mind and resolved to even arguing that, the role of humans can never be replaced. It can be augmented, but it cannot be replaced. But you also have to be knowledgeable enough to understand how to allow this technological driven place and time, work for you rather than work against you. And so taking ownership and taking responsibility is very key as to how salespeople survive or just become absolutely obsolete in today's world. So, it's very, very important that you do take ownership. And in taking ownership is understanding this world that we're in, knowing its limitations, exploring it as best you can, but being able to use round solutions, digital and technological driven solutions in round sales problems rather than using square ones to fit round holes, because that happens when everybody thinks that every product is designed and would thrive when you use Instagram as a means of positioning your product or service. Then it's clear that you don't understand how to use the tool, because there's certain products and brands and services that their best form of advertising them is not necessarily Instagram. So you have to be knowledgeable to know that, and to know where Instagram works, where TikTok works, where LinkedIn works, and be able to apply them, when it's required. I mean, if you even look at the media space now, look at what's happening to your ad agencies. All the beautiful, brilliant ideas that humans used to come up with are fast becoming extinct, and everybody's doing their adverts with AI now. So you don't actually need to shoot an actual film, to produce a TV commercial, a 60-second TV commercial, because right now AI can do all that for you. But that's why most of those ads that you see now, there's a study, that's been debated upon right now in universities in the US, where they're talking about how, if you look at, they're looking at 10,000 AI generated TV commercials and comparing them to the value that it brings to the table from a sales and marketing and brand positioning point of view, when you compare it to ads that you actually shot, that have actual human, characters, and the reactions that those kinds of adverts give you in comparison with the ones that are AI generated. And it's not a conclusive study at the moment, but in a couple of years you will find, I mean, the results are already trickling out, and you're finding that most of your AI generated ads lose that fundamental element of emotion. When a human being delivers something, and when an AI generated bot delivers it, it just delivers differently. If you look at, for instance, movies, what you watch on a screen versus when you watch a live theater production, the emotions that it evokes is day and night. It's two completely different things. When I see a character cry real life and I see a character cry on TV, my mind has already tuned that character to TV. So the most I can see is acting. But when I see that same production rendered live and I see the real human crying, I get chills, I get goosebumps, so it's a different experience. It's a different kind of emotion that it evokes. And that's what selling is about. How are you able to connect in a way that your product and brand now becomes something that people can emotionally connect with, regardless of what that product or service is? That would be my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yadrini. And I mean, emotional intelligence is one skill every salesperson needs. Definitely, we've had these conversations before now. Rebecca, I wanted to ask, I mean, from what we've discussed before now, what do you think and how important do you think emotional intelligence is for sales leadership today, from your standpoint?
Okay. Thank you, Ruth, for the question that you're asking me. Before I answer the question, I would like to say that emotional intelligence is actually the foundation of influence. In today's world where knowledge is also very available, you can have the same knowledge, but how do you influence? You can have the same papers, the same resume, the same experiences, but how do you influence people? So emotional intelligence, from what I understand, is self-awareness. And leader having self-awareness, understanding your own emotions, your own triggers, what triggers your behavioral patterns, because knowing yourself helps you to lead authentically. In today's corporate world, you will not stand out if you're not authentic, if you're not leading in your own style. And leading in your own style means you understand yourself, you understand your triggers, and you're able to manage your emotions. This also brings in self-regulation. When you understand yourself and when you understand your triggers, this helps you to control your impulses. When you can control your impulse, that's what we say you are professional. Why do we say that some leaders are not professional? It's because they cannot manage themselves. They cannot balance or manage their emotions or realize their triggers. So when I understand that this kind of trigger might cause me to get out of my normal control, I'm always self-aware that when a team member says this is how I am going to respond. So that is emotional intelligence. To expound on emotional intelligence, which also our first keynote speaker touched on, is the role of empathy. When we talk about leading or selling by the heart, it brings in emotions. How do you create a unique rapport? Is how you let emotions play in your selling process. The same way in leadership and considering the role of emotional intelligence. This is why we now bring in empathy. In today's world, they look at your intelligence quotient and your emotional quotient, of which nowadays emotional quotient is even considered more important, not saying that intelligence is not needed, but is actually more important compared to even the EQ. We have EQ and we have IQ. My colleague has also spoken about what is happening today with the adverts that we see. When it is all artificial, it loses the emotional part. Meaning that when we still humanize whatever we do, we bring in emotional intelligence, which is very important. So in leadership of teams, empathy is also needed to keep your team members motivated. And this helps in coaching and mentoring. Another importance of emotional intelligence is how it brings in unique social skills. It helps you to be able to communicate, negotiate, motivate, and create a high-performing team. Emotional intelligence, last but not least, is also important when we are managing conflict. Because of the differences that we see in our team members, emotional intelligence helps us to manage conflicts when conflicts occur. Therefore, as I had begun, I'll say that it is the foundation of influence. A leader without influence cannot make it in today's world. For you to be able to create influence, we actually use emotional intelligence. How do we build trust? With emotional intelligence. Learn your team members, know what motivates them, know what kind of recognition they desire, what kind of coaching they need. When they realize that you have their interest at heart, then you will be able to influence them and they will trust you. Therefore, to create a high-performing team as a leader, emotional intelligence is needful and also very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. I mean, very profound. You also shared that it's the foundation for influence. So of course, everyone here, and I can hear like a mental question of someone asking, so how do you now develop emotional intelligence? Everyone has kind of touched a bit of it here and there. Assuming I'm going to be very honest with myself, I'm just starting out my career. I don't know anything about it. Take out action for someone here. What should they do to get emotional intelligence and probably get trained in the skill of emotional intelligence?
Great. I will relate emotional intelligence and how it tangles itself with people management. When you're asking me about emotional intelligence, in my own understanding, it's like you're asking me, how do I lead people? Because people are human, and human beings also have emotions. The same way, if you ask me, how do you teach people how to manage people? Begin the work. That is how I would take it. Begin your work with people. As you work with people, you understand that people are different. So if you are new and you want to develop your emotional intelligence, step number one is self-awareness. What is the impact of Rebecca on the person she is talking to? Like now, as I'm speaking, what is my influence on the audience who are listening to me? So when I am self-aware, even the kind of voice tonation that I'm using is different. How I'm folding my hands is different. My posture is different. So first and foremost, understand who you are. If you're a high-tempered person, appreciate I am high-tempered. So when I'm going for my meeting today, this is how I will prepare for my meeting emotionally so that I can know how I'm going to respond in a professional manner. So self-awareness is number one. Number two is your ability to regulate yourself. There is excitement and there is also low excitement, if there's a language like that. So when you're going for a party, there is a type of excitement that is needed. When you're going for a sales discussion, there is also a level of emotion that is needed. So self-regulation. When someone praises you, how do you respond? Be self-aware. As you grow in leadership, over excitement when you're praised also has question mark. Not responding also to praise also has question marks. So how do you do self-regulation? So for a startup, someone who is starting up, self-awareness is number one. Number two is self-regulation. Number three is understanding your impact on people. Everything that we do has an impact. For every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. So when people understand that you offer empathy, they get motivated. When you're very critical, they get disarmed. So number one, self-awareness. Number two, self-regulation. Number three, understand the impact of your behavior on people. So anytime you're doing something, know that you're not doing it to yourself. There are people who are watching you. There are people who are listening to you. So every day is a learning day on how you scale up your emotional quotient. So for those who have managed teams for a longer time, those who have related with people, be it internal customers or external customers, they get to develop their emotional quotient. It is not a one-day subject that someone can handle and you're on. It is a daily practice, and it just means emotional regulation. Understanding yourself, regulating your emotions, and understanding the impact of what you do to those who see you. I think that's how I would expound on it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was really insightful and basic. Yeah, so
on balance.
Yeah, so riding on the same breath, Umani, how do you believe? I mean, we have talked, Rebecca has spoken about regulations of emotions and driving influence to teams, emotional intelligence being the foundation to influence. How would you advise leaders should give constructive feedback? You know, considering the fact that you're leading a team and you can see a few snags here and there, and you want to give them constructive feedback, how do you think leaders should provide such to their teams?
think what leaders should do is that they need to first be very specific, timely, and solution focused, right? Be clear on the objective. Focus on the behavior and results and not the personality. I think it's very easy for us as human beings to focus more on the person's personality than what it is that they're doing or their behavior, right? So shift away from that narrative where you're not looking at the person's not their personality, but rather what results they bring to the table. And you need to give feedback promptly. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in the busyness of work and not give feedback as soon as you should as a leader, right? Because you shouldn't give feedback much later because feedback is a gift. I always say if people do not give you feedback, especially in the workplace, that can be one of the most damaging things, be it positive or negative feedback. It's just the how the feedback is packaged. So always give it closer to the event in order for it to have a purpose at the end of the day. Because if you don't give it closer to the event and you wait until a later stage, then it means you're also delaying the person's progress as well. And like Rebecca also mentioned around emotional intelligence, that it is also something that can be harnessed as a sales leader. You can harness this in your teams by giving that constructive feedback. And you also need to balance out the positives with the areas of improvement. I often find that we lean towards giving more on areas of improvement. Usually if I look at myself, I usually start with the positives when I give feedback. Somebody could have done something that I completely disagree with, but I will often look for the positive first, because if you speak to a person and you come up with something positive, there's something in the mind that switches on. It's like I'm appreciated. What I'm doing is being appreciated, and then you give the other feedback at afterwards, the areas of improvement. However, if you use the other way around, people often take the whole meeting into a negative aspect that, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I cannot do this. But if you tell them that, you know what, I appreciate 1, 2, 3 that you have done. However, you still have an area of improvement in 1, 2, 3. Then it's received a lot more better because you started more on a positive note. But also, not just giving feedback, you also need to give actionable next steps, suggest concrete ways on how to improve and develop, but not just suggest. Walk with your team, the people that are reporting to you. You walk this journey with them. You don't just say, this is what you need to do, and you walk away. It's helping them through the process, right? And then encourage dialogue. Shari mentioned one thing that we need to do as leaders is to listen. So when you encourage dialogue, your team members become a lot more open and provide their perspective on things, and you're able to co-create solutions and not just be the one that is giving out solutions. In that way, you're not empowering your team members and you're not giving them an opportunity to grow as individuals. And after that, you've given actionable items. There is still that follow up. You need to track the progress, but also provide coaching as and when it is needed. Feedback is a gift. It should be seen as a guide and not a moment to criticize. You're actually turning learning into more of a measurable growth. So that's how I would say, as leaders, in order for us to drive growth, we need to provide constructive feedback that drives that really guides our team members and not focus on criticizing them. And yeah, that's just my take on giving constructive feedback. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Amani. That was really, really in-depth and insightful. Yes, starting first with the positive, than negative. Of course, with action points. That's the key take out there, not just throwing out what you think the person could have done, the subordinate could have done better, but how better they could do it based off on your own actionable steps. That's very good. That was very good. Thank you so much. Dr. Yadini. Dr. Yadini, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. So riding on the same breath, we've seen that leaders could also, I mean, it's a very thin line in trying to lead and guide. There are also mistakes leaders could make. From your experience, what are the most common mistakes, strategic mistakes leaders make in times of change?
That's a tricky question. I guess also depending on who's answering. And I'll try and answer it from a me as a leader point of view and me as a subordinate point of view. As a leader, I think one of the mistakes that I've personally made is when I'm looking for perfection in every situation. And my understanding of perfection and the understanding of my team on what perfection means are two completely different things. Now, if everyone is not at that pace with you, if you haven't sold a story that shares a vision for your brand or your product or your service, then you and your teams are looking at things from two different view lenses. So I would say that the first mistake is, from a leader's point of view, is that we don't get our teams to dream the same dreams that we have for our brand, our product, and our services. And once that vision is not shared, your expectations are going to be all over the place, and you will struggle. I also find that we tend to, a lot of us don't lead by example. Most leaders, especially in Africa, I would say, like the idea of being a leader, like the position that they sit at, the authority that comes with it. But leadership is a service-driven responsibility. And that's the one thing I think, leaders should, come to a realization about, because only then would you get your team to have something to aspire to. And that should be you. Now, from a subordinate's point of view, I would say that one of the mistakes I think leaders make is that they assume that because they've sacrificed so much, in their opinion, for the organization, that you should have the same level of commitment to the organization. And so when you don't have it, you find that they're constantly then looking down on your commitment to the business, and belittling it, and there's a disconnect there. And I think that this is something that I've personally experienced. As long as I'm putting my all into an organization, and I'm, sacrificing myself, my energy, my passion, my utmost dedication, I feel, like I should be a part of the business. I have some level of entitlement, especially where I'm making money. I think that leaders have to have very, very clear agreements with employees, so that everybody knows what the, I mean, if you're working in an organization where there is a possibility that you can become, I don't know, a partner, have a stake in the business, some shares and equity in the business, and that's not clearly defined to you even from the beginning, you almost then feel like there's nothing to dream to or to aspire to. You feel, you feel blocked, and especially with us salespeople, once you're selling and you're bringing money, you have a level of entitlement. It's almost, uh, it's the element of greed and humanity in us that takes you to that place where you're now thinking, oh, but I'm making so much money for this organization. I should be a part of, I should be getting some dividends here. I should be getting paid more. It's entitlement. However you want to sugarcoat that, it is what it is. And it needs to be clear from a leader or a owner point of view to his subordinates what the end goal is, the possible end goal is. If you work, for instance, in one of those audit firms, your PricewaterhouseCoopers, and if you stay there long enough and you work hard enough, there's a potential that one day you can become a partner. It's an almost unspoken thing, but it's not the same for hospitality, for instance. It's not the same for, I mean, think another industry. It's not the same for fast moving consumer goods businesses. You don't, the most you can be is either, I don't know, a director. For me, a director of sales and marketing, because I have no aspiration to become a general manager or a financial controller. If this is the ceiling, this is the ceiling. It needs to be communicated from the scratch so that everybody knows what the expectations are, and that way you're not making the mistake of leading people to nothing. So that would be my take on this from an employee point of view. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you so much for breaking it down into two phases, the employee perspective and the employer perspective. And it's actually good to have a well-rounded perspective around the two ends, because most times we get caught up with how, especially if you're an employee, you don't get to see how the employer is looking at the overall picture. And one very important thing you mentioned, which is also very key, is communication and established expectations. Knowing what you're getting into, knowing the role you're playing in the organization and where it leads to on the long run is very key and important in our career growth and development. Thank you so much, all speakers. So we'll be rounding up now, and I would want each speaker to give take up points, 2 cents, wisdom to the community, and from your perspective, I mean, with what has happened so far, what you would want us to take out from the whole event. Thank you. Starting from Rebecca. Okay, I don't know if Rebecca is around. Ofumani, you can go first.
Thank you so much. I think for me, what as sales leaders and everybody on the call needs to take with is that our people are our biggest assets. Without our people as organizations, as leaders, we are not able to move forward. And we should always be looking as sales leaders for people that show some kind of, there's always those people that have hidden potential. I think I always feel sorry for the introverts in teams, because they are the ones that are often very misunderstood and they're not able to represent themselves very well as compared to your extroverts in teams, right? And if we focus on different individuals with the mindset of our people are our biggest assets, we look at the different team members that we have as leaders. How do we inspire them to grow? How do we nurture them to grow? Because I don't want to be that sales leader for life. I want somebody else. I want to be a leader of leaders of leaders. And if I do not pass on the baton onto the next person by growing them, by understanding them, by actually harnessing that growth mindset from individuals, then I, as a sales leader, would have definitely failed. So as sales leaders, it is our core mission to coach, to mentor, to inspire aspiring sales leaders. Thank you.
Very much. Mindset transfer. So as a leader, you're meant to transfer your mindset to your subordinate and even to people around you, paying it forward because a lot has been invested in you. Thank you so much, Famani, for that. Dr. Iyaduni. Dr. Iyaduni, would you want to give us any takeouts for the meeting?
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to my. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, excellent.
Well, first off, Ma, you have a question. Someone is asking, is it selfish to have an entitlement mentality, or is it okay to speak up to your employer based off on the perspectives you shared about mistakes sales leaders make?
Is it okay to have an entire? No, it's
Is it selfish?
It is very. It's not selfish. It is harmful for you to have an entitlement approach to, growing in your career. Look, some of us will always be employees. Some of us are born employers. Some of us have the capacity to do both. You need to figure out where your strength is, and you need to plan your life around you becoming that person that you aspire to be. Not being in there and looking for every single way to latch onto what you didn't, what doesn't belong to you, because it doesn't really belong to you. If you're working for somebody, the person is paying you to do the job. If you have that mindset and that clarity, your expectations will be limited to being, I don't know, maybe a managing director. If from the beginning you've gone into the kind of organization where just ask for clarity from the beginning, so that you don't get tempted just because you're putting in so much of yourself, your emotions, your passion and everything into delivering this role, so that you don't get hurt and you avoid, being entitled to what doesn't really belong to you. It's almost, it's the same, I think the same concept with where in the Bible that it said that, when you're invited to a party or to a church or something, I think it is, sit at the back until somebody calls you and asks you to come to the front, and you're ushered to come to the front, rather than, looking at that front and say, and just jumping there is my own because I'm working so hard for it. That's where I should be seated. Be called to that seat, because the feeling of entitlement hurts the employer, but even the employee gets hurt even more when you don't have that clarity. That clarity is very, very important. So, I mean, I don't know if I've been able to answer your question, but who asked the question is the person here?
Moses asked. He said, is it okay to speak up to your employer in the same context?
Of course. I mean, speaking up is okay, not just with your employer, with anybody, but speak up when you should speak up. When you're getting into the job, ask, get clarity. What is the end goal here? And then you decide where you want to be. This is how you see the vision board. I want to, I'm going into this work with Access Bank, for instance. I want to become the, I don't know, branch manager. This is my aspiration. I'm working towards, ask your employer from the beginning, is there a possibility that I can attain this, so that you have something to measure yourself with. That way, there's no confusion. If you're not going to ever be anything more than a branch manager, he'll tell you, right from the get-go, and you're clear and he's clear. So by all means, please ask the question, confront, but deal with it when you should, so that you don't get, your expectations don't just get, you don't get disappointed. You don't get disappointed, and you walk from your heart, having clarity of purpose from the get-go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Yaduni. I think
You're
that even
welcome.
sums it up for your takeout. Thank you all to our panelists and our speakers for the very insightful thoughts shared thus far. And it also has been very, very swell for me as well. I've taken out so much notes in my notepad to go execute, and I'm sure it's the same experience for everyone. So this is a wrap. I don't know if anyone has a question for the panelists, but excuse me, Dr. Yaduni. Okay, so I would be handing over to our convener, Nwamaka, for the closing remark.
No. Okay, thank you very much, Ruth, for moderating this panel section. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all our guests for showing up and spending 3 hours of their time with us. And also to our keynote speakers, to Shari, and also to Mrs. Kolawole. I want to say thank you so much for your time today. And to our 3 panelists, to the 3 country managers we have for Nigeria, Kenya, and also for South Africa. I really want to appreciate all your efforts, your impacts. This is not the first time you're coming on the platform to speak to us. For every time you show up, we always have a lot of things to go home with. I want to say thank you so much. And for Ruth and Annabelle, thank you for being amazing hosts. You've done this several times, and we look forward again to having you on the platform to host us again. Thank you so much. To our amazing guests and members of Queen of Sales community, and for those who are joining us for the first time, thank you so much for showing up and staying with us up to this moment. And just to remind you again that you can connect with us to get more updates and insights on our activities on LinkedIn. And you can also join our WhatsApp groups. We have different WhatsApp groups for each country. I see that for Kenya, while the meeting was on, we had almost 37 or 38 people who joined the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for that, for sharing the link of the group. And I also want to encourage others from other countries to please connect with whoever that invited you to this section, or reach out to us and we can add it to your various groups. So the goal of today's digital summit is selling with heart and leading with impact. So we want to leave here today to go and make impacts both on our daily life, our daily business, in our career, and also to the team that we lead. Let's lead with difference, that people will have a reason why they want to be part of this community. So we need to keep making sure that for everything we do, we're leaving a legacy behind. Thank you so much, everyone. We have a lot of program piled up for the year, but please, we'll share this update in our community group. Please, we don't want to keep you more than this. Again, thank you so much. And to the Queen of Sales team, all those who are working back end to make sure that our day-to-day event, for the last 4 to 5 months, I haven't really been very active because I've been off for my wedding. I really want to appreciate you all for making sure that everything went successful. Thank you, and we look forward to having a great event in 2026. So have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, Amaka. Thank you, Ruth. And thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, and have a great night.
Okay, good night.